So as we keep developing, or rather monitoring developments in Alexandra, calm has been restored in the township north of Johannesburg, and this following attempts to shut down the township this week. And we saw clashes earlier on in the week between a group called the Dudula Movement and foreign national traders at the Pan-Africa Mall in the township. Now, the group is calling for the removal of undocumented traders, and 5 people have been arrested for public violence and incitement, and police remain on high alert in the area. But let's cross now to our senior reporter here at SABC News, Chriselda Lewis, for an update on the situation. She's been monitoring those developments for us. Chriselda, good morning. So this morning, of course, we woke up to quite a bit of rain here in Johannesburg, and I would imagine that this would have an effect on what's been developing in Alexandra as well.
Well, absolutely, Sakina. Raining, as they would say, cats and dogs outside. So it certainly has put a damper on anything that could have happened in Alexandra overnight. There's still been a large police presence that has been deployed. The core police had indicated that they're going to continue to have quite a large police presence in the area because they do believe that there is an existing threat that more violence could erupt. In the majority yesterday, what we experienced was that some of the shops belonging to foreign nationals did not open for the day. Those that did open were really pinning their hopes on the police that had been deployed to those areas. We saw a bit of a cat and mouse game yesterday where police had to move to different areas where you had pockets of violence, tires being set alight in different areas of Alexandra. None of that here this morning. Police continue to keep a close watch on what might take place here. The issue itself, Sakina, is very far from being resolved. The underlying issues that the South Africans, under the banner, of course, of the Dudula Movement, want addressed, have not been addressed yet. Foreign nationals don't feel safe in Alexandra as well. So you have both sides of the coin that have not got any of their issues ventilated. We saw a bit of, some of the city of Johannesburg's leadership in Alexandra yesterday. The MMC for Community Safety was there. And we basically asked them, what they were doing to ensure the safety of everyone in Alexandra. They said they'll continue to be in the township for as long as that threat is still there. We do believe there is intelligence on the ground. And I guess there are hopes on both fronts that the sense of normalcy will obviously prevail. But very quiet in Alexandra. Nothing much has changed from yesterday, but the police presence remains quite heightened.
Now, Chriselda, when you say this issue is far from being resolved, and I think this is, of course, the crux of the matter, the police we have seen, they were out in big numbers, but anyone else from other ministries, because this has been simmering for a while, and it's not just an Alexandra problem at this stage, but given what unfolded in Alexandra this week, did any other ministry come into the township to try and at least address some of the issues that have been raised?
Absolutely nothing, Sakina, and I think that is what the concern is. You had South Africans who also were affected by what was taking place say that they don't understand why no one is there to attend to their concerns. And what concerns them is that it seems like on their part, that's certainly what they've told us, is that they believe that not enough attention is being given to what is taking place in Alexandra. And they say if that does not happen, the fear that they have is that there's going to be an escalation of this. And while previously, as I've been trying to make sure that there is no confusion, there is Operation Dudula. And what has been taking place in Alex over the past couple of days is the Dudula Movement. So you have separate entities that have basically the same ethos, but what you've seen regarding this particular one was where there had been incidents or pockets of violence that had taken place. So there is concern that you're going to have different groupings who are upset and concerned about the way certain things are taking place. Remember, you've got issues of spiraling unemployment in South Africa, and it's very easy, Sakina, to talk to individuals who are in that unemployment crisis. And part of what we heard as well in the July unrest hearings, which also affected Alexandra, is that the social ills in these townships are contributing largely to the numbers of people that we see participate in these actions because they're frustrated by the social ills that don't seem to be addressed in their areas. Very much so in Alexandra as well. There's not going to be one department that needs to address what is happening in Alexandra. It's not just going to have to be police and law enforcement agencies. When is the South African government going to deal with the root cause of what is happening in these different areas? And indeed, as you correctly point out, this is not an issue relating to Alexandra alone. We've seen the Operation Dudula go to places in Rosettenville as well, where there have been concerns raised about why there isn't a prioritizing of South Africans over foreign nationals when it comes to employment. So this is bound to cause some friction, as we've already seen. And it's not going to take the South African Police Service or crime intelligence alone to try and resolve the issue. It's going to need a cluster of different governments of the department to address some of the social ills if we're going to go anywhere near in terms of resolving this. And there is a concern that this is not the first and the last that we see of this kind of unrest. It's going to keep happening until someone comes to the ground or government takes it with the seriousness that it deserves. If it does not want to see. Concern at this point is that while you saw South Africans and foreign nationals involved in clashes, others with gushes on their heads, quite deep on their heads, bricking each other, there's going to certainly be that concern that you might see some fatalities in future. And when that happens, is it only then is the question that is being asked that this issue will be taken with the seriousness that it deserves. What the people of Alexandra want to see is some kind of leadership and at higher level in government come to address what is going to be done about the situation there, because the very businesses that have been interrupted there as well are still reeling from the July unrest, where you saw near the Pan-African Mall, when we had visited with the Human Rights Commission recently, some of the stores there have not reopened since July. So clearly there's a deep-seated issue that needs to be addressed by the South African government. And as far as from where we're looking at this stage, it's not adequate.
And thank you so much, Chriselda Lewis, and absolutely correct in pointing out the irony, if you will, of an in loco inspection of the Human Rights Commission looking at the July unrest, the Gauteng leg of that last week, and the following week, that's this week now, you have a new set of issues sparking this particular township once again. So Chriselda Lewis keeping an eye on developments for us out in Alexandra.